Welcome back. We are live here, and we are on also Facebook Live right now, so I wanted to say hi to everybody. We've had a lot of newbies here today, but right now we have Trent Woods. He's been on my show many times now, and he is the owner of Woods Law Group. Welcome back to the show. You know, so much information. Tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do.
Well, I'm an attorney, and I don't want to bore people, so keep listening, I promise. I got my start as an attorney because I wanted to be the attorney that I wished I had. And so that's what I've tried to do in my practice. And so I help people with wills, trusts, estate planning, but also firearms law. So it's kind of a weird mix, if you will. Some people question that. A lot of other attorneys say, wait, what?
I know, what?
They know attorneys that do wills and trusts, but they don't know many that do firearms law. And so I do both. A lot of it's the kind of the intersection between both of those practice areas. And that's really my niche where I kind of live, so to speak.
Right. Now, let me tell you something, guys out there. You might even already have a will or a trust and may not realize that if you own a gun, and I don't care if it's one gun or 5 guns or have an arsenal or whatever it is, you need to talk to Trent Woods. And that is because you may not have it set up right. And there's a lot of things that go wrong and could be very devastating after the fact, right?
That's absolutely true. You know, firearms are one of those things that, in addition to being kind of a hot button politically right now...
Didn't we have something today?
We did, in fact. And we can maybe go into that later. I don't want to hit that quite yet. Mm-hmm. But, firearms are unique assets. They, if you misuse them, and I'm not talking about a crazy shooting going into a school or anything like that, just simply making a mistake with planning or giving it to the wrong person or taking it to the wrong place. All those types of things can be felonies, both federally and in the state, in any state, indeed, not just Arizona. And so simple missteps like that can turn yourself or your family into felons. And that's one of the big problems, is that often there's firearms enthusiasts who collect and love to shoot or whatever, and then they pass away, and their families don't necessarily know as much about the collection and the laws as they do.
Right.
And that's where we see a lot of problems.
Now, you've got also a couple of seminars that you got coming up that you want to talk about. Go ahead.
I do. So I have 2 seminars coming up on, let's see, one is on April 12th at 6 p.m. That's a Thursday. And then the next Saturday, which is April 14th at 10 a.m. These are estate planning seminars specifically to go through kind of estate planning, but specifically for people that also own firearms. We're going to talk about those nuances and the things that firearms owners need to know when planning their estate. These seminars are not on my website, which is woodslawaz.com and also azgunlaw.com. They're not there.
About guns. This one is going to be more strictly towards guns. I just want to make sure.
It's estate planning for firearms owners.
Okay.
And they're not advertised publicly. Why, Carol, you might ask? Because I didn't want them advertised publicly. Right now, the only people invited are current clients.
My thousands of listeners.
And now Carol's thousands of listeners. It's not anyone else that hasn't been a client of mine that's not a Carol Blonder listener.
Well, that's really kind of you to say. And let me just tell you guys out there, again, I want people to understand. You can go up on the website. You can check it out. All his information there. He is the attorney that everybody would want to have. Again, that website is woodslawaz.com. These are great information for people to have, and that's what it is. It's all informational. That's what this show is all about.
Right.
Sometimes you guys are procrastinators and don't call right away. We know that about you guys out there. But at the same time, something always seems to come up. So I want you to be able to check him out and go on the website. You can also call him. You do consultations with everyone.
Absolutely.
All the time. You got to. And what's cool about you, and I'm going to just say because I've been listening to you now a few times, is that you are the one that they're going to talk to. And that's what makes you different. Go ahead. Talk about you.
Absolutely. So most attorneys might meet with their client, estate planning attorneys might meet with the client in the first meeting, that initial consultation. And then after that, it's highly likely that client may never see or hear from that attorney again. Paralegals do the drafting. Paralegals might do the final signing, and then any other follow-up. That's not the way it works in my office. Everyone meets with me up front. Their documents are drafted by an attorney. A second attorney reviews them, and they're going to meet with me for the signing. So they get an awful lot of Trent. Sometimes that might be a good thing, I guess. Sometimes that's maybe not a good thing.
I think it's really good. And also, let me just say something to everybody out there. There's a lot of people out there that, we've had we might have even done our estate plans a long time ago and just go, okay, they're fine. No. How many times should they be updating them? Once a year, once every couple of years? What should it be?
There's no hard, fast rule. However, there are some guidelines. So, anytime the laws change, right, which happens irregularly, and the problem is most people don't know that, right? The second time is whenever something in their family changes, right? Someone passed away, a relationship changes, or people move away into another state, or one of their chosen helpers, i.e. like an agent under the power of attorney or a successor trustee passes away, right? Those are changes they need to deal with. And unfortunately, people don't always pay attention to those things.
Right. Do you do a second set of eyes?
All the time.
All the time. It's really important, y'all, for you to do that. That was a little Southern.
It was. Are you from the South?
No. But anyway, I do want people to understand this. Again, you might already have one. It's a really good idea to have Trent take a look at it. If you don't have one, gosh, people have things that happen to them all the time. And if it can happen to me, it can happen to anybody. And we all know that things like this happen where we don't have one happen and we don't have one. And what happens when we don't?
Well, if you don't have a plan, odds are something bad is going to happen. That might be family fighting. That might be lawsuits. That might just be unfortunate results, meaning your assets go to someone you didn't want them to go to. I had that call this week where unfortunately a young woman, her grandmother had purchased a house for her. She was making the payments, but the house was titled in Grandma's name. Well, Grandma always said, that's your house. Unfortunately, Grandma passed away, and the house isn't going to go to her, and she's going to lose may lose over $100,000 in equity that she poured into that house, all because Grandma did not take the time to go talk with an attorney.
And it's really important you do so. Maybe it's you, maybe it's someone that you know. Maybe you're sitting there listening to this and you have parents. Talk to them. Make sure. That's something else I want to talk about, really important for everybody that's listening to. Have that open communication with your family. I feel, and it happened, I believe it happened to me this way, is that there wasn't that open communication to be able to feel free and comfortable in talking about that. For some reason, people don't feel comfortable about about what happens when someone dies.
Right. Well, I mean, it's a hard subject. It is. Who wants to talk about their own death? I get it. It's a tough thing. And I get, I understand. But if you don't want to talk about it with your kids, come talk about it with me. Right? We can at least plan for it, and if you don't choose to talk to your children or spouse or partner or other loved ones, that's okay. That's your choice. But at least have the conversation with someone, i.e. me, who can help you understand what your options are and make a plan so your family, your loved ones are taken care of if something happens to you.
He has 5-star reviews everywhere, and also he's got a free consultation for everyone statewide. He can work with anyone statewide. He is the attorney that you want to have because he's the attorney everyone would want to have. That number to call him direct, it's 480-360-1776. The website is Woods Law AZ. He's all about education. That's what this is all about here right now. It's educating you. Some people don't pick up the phone right away, though you should. But you know what? Pick up the phone, write the number down. Don't daddle on this. This is something that you need to do, especially now we want to talk about those firearms, you guys. If you have a firearm, you just need to be talking to Trent. There's no two ways about it. He's the one that you want to talk to because most people don't know, not very many other attorneys know the law like you.
That's right. Unfortunately, most estate planners aren't very familiar with gun law.
Okay, so again, that phone number to call, it's 480-360-1776. The website is Woods Law AZ. And don't forget that you can also check him out at his office at April 12th at 6 p.m. or Saturday, April 14th at 10 a.m. And those are obviously for you guys to learn about firearm law and what you can do with your estates.
That's right. And they got a call. Call me for that. Remember, all the info isn't on the website. You can contact me through the website, send an email or contact form, but you need to call to get the details on attending those seminars.
You can also call here at 602-277-5369. Toll free, it's 1-866-536-1100, and I'll get you connected with him. Again, if you have a gun, you got to be talking to Trent. What else should we talk about before we go into a break? just about a minute.
Okay. So, I meet with people pretty regularly, and unfortunately I had several scenarios this week where it was just kind of tragic scenarios on hitting exactly what we talked about, where someone had a plan and they didn't have someone look at it. They didn't get a second opinion. And so I met with some folks who unfortunately, the creator of the trust is now incapacitated, and her family is going to suffer because of it.
We're going to go to a break. When we come back, I want to talk about that. The stories are what really work. They're what really hit people. So again, if you have a gun, you're going to want to talk to Trent. If you don't and you want to have a second opinion, you still need to talk to Trent. Again, the number to call him is 480-360-1776. It's woodslawaz.com.
If I traded it all.
Welcome back, everyone. We're live on Facebook, so hi, everybody out there. If you're listening and you own a gun, you got to be talking to Trent Woods. Also, if you don't, it doesn't matter. He does all this. This is his life. This is what he does, and he helps everybody out there statewide. You can call him direct. That number is 480-360-1776. He always does free consultations for everybody, and his website is woodslawaz.com. And right now, what we're going to do is we've done this before, is everyone that calls in is going to get entered in to win a free gun trust. What's the difference?
Okay, so a gun trust is like any other trust, except it's specifically designed for firearms, and at that, those firearms that are regulated by the National Firearms Act, which is kind of a special category of firearms that are highly regulated. It's things like silencers, short barrel rifles, things like that. All of those things for the listeners are 100% legal federally and in the state of Arizona, and always have been. When I say that, a lot of times people's mind kind of gets blown. They wait a minute, silencers are legal? Well, yep, they are, and they always have been. But you do have to have prior approval from the government before you can buy or possess those types of firearms. So a gun trust, is the vehicle we use to purchase those. The item is purchased in the name of the trust rather than you as an individual, because it's much safer from a legal perspective. It allows you to share that firearm with your family and other loved ones without risking committing an accidental felony.
And we also want you to know that it doesn't matter how many you have. It could be one or a lot. So let's talk another thing really quickly, a story about that. Let's go with, I know we were going to talk about, since we talked about guns and, we're going to do this free gun trust for everybody out there that gets entered in to win this. Our number here, by the way, is 602-277-5369. Toll free, it's 1-866-536-1100. If you're listening, if you own a gun, please call in. Let's get you this. Everybody needs it. A story about gun that you might want to talk about that might have happened, so that kind of relates to what we're talking about now.
Okay, so I have a bunch.
I'm sure you do.
Unfortunately. So first off, just real quick, the gun trust is valued at $599, so it's not a cheap thing. Just so your listeners are aware. So, I've had a lot of calls. A really common scenario is, hey, my grandfather passed away, and he owns a bunch of guns. What do I do? Or more specifically, he owns silencers or short barrel rifle or kind of the special stuff, right? And we have no idea what to do. A twist on that is, hey, I live in California or Illinois or New York, where they're not allowed to possess those types of firearms. They're legal in most states, but not all states. Excuse me. And so they're just not sure what to do. And if they were to take that firearm unknowingly back home because they'd inherit it, say, under the will or just through intestacy, that means no will, they're the natural heir, they'd be committing multiple felonies by doing that. And so I had one of these calls actually today where father passed away and there was a silencer and had no idea what to do with it. So sometimes there's different avenues we go down. Sometimes it requires a probate depending on what other assets are involved. Sometimes we can transfer that on what's called a small estate affidavit. It's basically just a simple form, fairly simple form, in conjunction with some forms for the ATF that we complete that can transfer that item from the now deceased parent or grandparent to its rightful heir. Possessing that item without that federal approval is a felony. So they need to go get that approval so that they can do so lawfully. And so that's something a gun trust helps avoid that scenario. We have a plan for those items so that the family isn't caught unaware. In particular, like the gun trust I'm going to give away, that style is a multi-generational gun trust, so it makes it really, really, really easy for the family to inherit the guns. We're not going to have ATF hurdles. We're not going to have probate. We're not going to have all this government interference that complicates it and risks, someone committing a felony.
If you own a gun, call in now. The number is 602-277-5369. Toll free, it's 1-866-536-1100. This is a $599 value, free to you or anyone you know. If you don't own the gun and you know your parents do, call in, because it doesn't matter. You need to call in and get this. Everybody should have it. The other stories that we were talking about before was somebody else for just a regular trust, and it was about, I don't remember what you were going to start telling the story.
Well, I mean, recap and kind of give a more thorough example of the one where grandma bought the house, right? So that's a fairly common scenario. Or sometimes a parent or a grandparent is a signer or something, or helps a young person buy their first house, right? Well, that parent or grandparent is usually going to be on the deed. That's pretty common. And if something happens to them, that child or grandchild may not necessarily inherit that house. So in this particular case, this granddaughter is very likely going to lose over $100,000 in equity. And it's because grandma didn't plan. Grandma could have done a simple beneficiary deed. It would have cost her not much, a couple $100 max, in order to save that granddaughter that much money and that much hassle and heartache. Granddaughter, you can imagine, this is where she lives. This is home. Not only that, there's a substantial amount of money that she's put into this house over the past, 10 years. And now she might lose it.
It's just so many reasons of why people need to make sure that they take care of these things. Don't put your head in the sand with it. Again, he does free consultations. He's 5-star rated everywhere and statewide. You can call him direct. He does free consultations. That number is 480-360-1776. And we're giving right now to anyone who calls in, you're getting entered in to win a free gun trust. It's a $599 value, free to you or anyone you know. 602-277-5369. Toll free, it's 1-866-536-1100. One gun, 5 guns, I don't care if you own one, give us a call here. Trent's the guy you need to be talking to. Okay, so your seminars, they're also a little bit on the gun trusts.
Yep. So we're really talking about estate planning for gun owners. It's the big picture and then also the nuances about guns that they need to know. So we're going to talk about wills, trusts, powers of attorney, all of that, how they work, what they can do for you in your scenario, and then where guns fit into the plan. And so really this is an educational seminar. People are going to come and learn a lot. They're going to have the information where they can make an informed decision on what they want to do or not, right? So I'm no pressure, right? I think you know that. A lot of people are scared to go talk with an attorney because they think they're going to be pressured. They're going to get a hard sale, that they're going to have to sign up and pay tons of money to some attorney that's a smooth talker. Well, that's not me. Okay, I'm not going to pressure you. I'm not going to, coerce you or trick you. I'm just going to give you the information, let the client make an informed decision, and if they don't end up hiring me, that's fine. At least now they know.
Again, that's going to be April 12th, and that one is at 6 p.m., and then April 14th, and that's at 10 a.m.
Correct.
And they're in Mesa in his office. But you can call him. He'd like to know, if you call him direct, he can get you in. That phone number, again, it's 480-360-1776. Call in here. Get yourself entered in to win this free gun trust. It's a $599 value, free to you, again, or anyone you know. 602-277-5369. And toll free, it's 1-866-536-1100. You could check him out. It's woodslawaz.com or azgunlaw.com. Again, Trent's the guy. He really is. And he is the attorney that everybody wants to have. Just before we go, you might want to go ahead and talk a little bit more about what you would want to end up with for today.
Okay. So I just want the listeners to know what to expect. If they call me, what's it going to be like? Okay. So we're going to schedule a time that's mutually agreeable. They come in. They're going to sit with me. We're going to have a conversation. We're going to have a conversation about their life and their family and their finances and what their goals are and what their fears are, and what they don't want to happen, right? And what they do want to happen if something does happen to them. They become incapacitated or they pass away. We're going to go through all those scenarios. I'm going to let them know what their options are. We're going to talk about the pros and cons of each of those options. And we're going to talk about the price. What are the prices involved if they act, if they take option A or option B, or if they don't do anything and they, leave their plan or lack of plan how it is now. Because, if you don't have a plan, the state of Arizona and the IRS have a plan for you. A lot of people may not think of it that way, but that's the reality. If you don't plan, the government has created a plan for you. Most people don't necessarily like the government's plan.
And I think you've said it many times before. There's documents, and then there's documents that work.
That's right.
So, because a lot of people say, okay, well, number one, I got my gun through a gun store and they did something for me. That's good enough. I'm not sure if that's the case. And then also there's some people that go online and try and do it now. A lot of people try and do stuff like that. Oh, that's good enough. Not necessarily.
Right. I mean, it's 2018, right? People go online, they think they can just print documents and it's going to work. Well, that's not always the case. And in fact, the vast majority of the time, it's not going to work how they think it will work. Yeah, you can go online and find a will and print it, or a trust and print it, but that's not the goal. You need a document that's going to work for you and your unique life and your unique scenario, because not everyone is the same. We know that. We all have differences. We have different families. We have different assets. We have different hopes and dreams. The documents have to work for you.
Again, you got to give him a call. That phone number is 480-360-1776. He does free consultations with everyone. He's 5-star rated everywhere he goes. And he is the attorney that everybody wants to have. If you own a gun, I don't care if it's one gun or if it's 5 gun or 100, it doesn't matter. You need to call him and talk to him and find out what is going to be the right situation for you. Again, that number to call him is 480-360-1776. He's statewide, does free consultations, and we're going to let everyone call for the next 5 minutes or so. You're going to get entered in to win a free gun trust. It's a $599 value, free to you. 602-277-5369. Toll free, it's 1-866-536-1100. It's woodslawaz.com.
Oh,